Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Sarah Calgill, Jeff Charles, and Graham Noble. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. CNN has reported its lowest ratings in a decade. Basically, the left-wing outlet has lost 60-some% of its viewers when compared to this time last year. Did they lose their radical base after attempting to turn to the center once Discovery bought them, or are there just more critical thinking viewers tired of the rhetoric? Seems like this one is right up your alley, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, there are a lot of factors in play here, Lisa. And I will say this. I wouldn't count CNN out just yet. I don't think it's time for the funeral dirge just yet. I think a lot of this is normal because, one, when they went to becoming a fully anti-Trump propaganda outlet, they lost some people because not everybody wants to hear that. But there are people who do. They want their news biased. They want to know where the bias is, and they want news that agrees with them. But now that they have this new CEO, Chris Licht, who's been in charge for still less than a year, he's created a lot of upheaval. He's reworking the way things are going. He wants it to be more straight news reporting, which, again, what might make you lose that audience that still wants the propaganda. So on top of that, they're doing a lot of experimenting with their prime time and morning slots. They're switching things around. They don't really even have a set host for their 9 o'clock slot yet. So I think a lot of these changes are going to result in decreased viewership. But what I do want to look at is the bigger picture here. I think that if we look at the fate of CNN over the next few years, we're going to see what American news consumers want. Do they want more biased news for the right or the left, or do they want more straight reporting like what they're moving towards right now? So I think it's still too early to tell. I think part of this is it just natural growing pains because of changing things around. But I think that the verdict it hasn't come in yet.
I couldn't disagree with you more. Let me just say one thing. They're just messing with the fringes. They're not making real changes. I mean, moving Don Lemon from primetime to morning drive, is that really going to tune in the regular Joe Blow at Six Pack who, wants to hear the news instead of constant commentary? I don't think so.
When your primetime audience
Don Lemon.
400,000. When your primetime audience is 400,000 viewers, you got a serious problem. And that's what they're experiencing. Their primetime is just sucking. Not to quote the former president, but
it's nasty.
Bad. Bad.
I think Chris Licht would have been just better off if you just cleaned house entirely as opposed to just, picking and choosing who's staying and who's going. I mean, you're keeping a guy like Jim Acosta around or Don Lemon. That's not really good for the CNN brand. I mean, if Chris Licht said at the beginning, look, we're going to completely revamp our operations, we're going to return to the days of Bernard Shaw, then perhaps that would have reinstated their credibility. But Trump killed that brand. He brought out the worst in these journalists at CNN. So overall, I mean, it's going to be hard to go back to those days and reinvigorate the CNN brand.
Well, nobody, I mean, if I was CNN and I had just been the new CEO, I would be saying, how do I get rid of these people without paying out their contract and punish them at the same time? That's what I would have done. And I would have stuck them at the most ungodly hours of the day where nobody watches them until their contract ran out and then not renew it. I mean, that would be the smart move if I don't think you just want to pay out and then pay double for your new talent. And that's just
me. Graham, it sounds like the guy's trying to play Solomon here, but cutting the baby in half doesn't work. I think they needed to lop off the head of Alfredo Garcia here. I just think that it was one of those, just what they need to clean house. I mean, they need to clean house and start over.
Yes, I agree. That's what CNN should have done. I agree with you on that. I agree with Andrew that you can't. You can't do this in some kind of like cautious way. They had to change. They had to change things altogether. See, CNN has actually completely lost its way. I think the whole problem that cable news has in general, and this is all of them, including Fox, is that this kind of blending of news and opinion is I think it's frustrating a lot of the average Americans, because the average Americans, I think, they want one or the other. There are some people out there who want that advocacy journalism, that activist journalism, but a partisan kind of style that's either right or left, or they want absolutely just straight news. Tell me what the bleep is going on, and I don't want to hear your opinion. And I think this blending of it is really is a losing model in the end. And what I think CNN should have done, if they really wanted to, if the network really wanted to save itself, was to just go back to how it once was, how I've remembered it when I used to watch CNN all the time. And that is go back to that, just basically straight news. This is what is happening.
Well, but we have to remember at the time, CNN was a pioneer and it didn't have a lot of competition at the time. So there weren't so many, big giant cable news 24 outlets that were giving them competition. They were pioneers and they did lose their way. And yeah. I think it's really interesting to see what's happened to them.
But now it's almost like a soap opera most of the time, I mean, they should call it. I mean, I think whatever Don Lemon's show is doing, I don't watch the guy, but whatever his show is, it should be called, maybe Days of My Lives or something.
Well, and also to piggyback off of what Graham was saying,
he is
earlier,
a one-man soap opera, that guy.
Yeah, and I think the issue is trying to blend commentary and opinion with straight news. There is a market for both. And what I think is going to happen, if I'm going to be the prophet Jeff Isaiah right now, I think what's going to happen in the future in the nation's media landscape is you're going to have outlets that just do straight reporting. And then you're going to have everything else. You're going to have left-wing, right-wing media that will be honest about their bias, and people can pick and choose what they want. But I think Graham is right. It's really hard to blend those two in a way that doesn't turn people off.
Well, it cultivates distrust. It cultivates distrust. Once you are doing that blend, people are watching shows, whether they're watching Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whichever one it is, they're watching their shows and they're thinking to themselves, okay, what I'm hearing now, what this anchor, what this host is telling me, is this actual news, or is this their opinion? They can't tell
when you've got, I don't care. I mean, you can have a very talented journalist, and these people all work for giant corporations, so they don't have autonomy. And if they want them to spin a narrative, it's coming down from who's paying the bills. It's not, a lot of them are going for this woke culture, and those people glom onto it, and they want their message and what they feel about what's going on to be broadcast over, their advertising dollars. And that's what they do. They cater to corporate. This isn't real journalism. This is corporate journalism.
But if you're honest and upfront and you say, we're a conservative news outlet, then you're immediately labeled far right wing, fringe, conspiracy theorist, et cetera, et cetera. It's like you can't be just have a political point of view and be honest and truthful in your news coverage. I mean, what is wrong with that?
Well, I think, if I may say about Jeff, I think some people are being too optimistic about the media landscape. I think a great summary of how the media landscape operates was during that recent press briefing where Simon Ortega of Today Africa News, and he said, call upon me. You've ignored me for 8 months, and then all the journalists just gave him a hard time. And then after the whole spectacle was finished, they apologized, Karine Jean-Pierre, and said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We really respect the administration." So that's the mindset of journalists. So I don't think there is either an appetite or even a base that can just be straight objective, report the news. And the ratings show this. If you're left or right, you get ratings. MSNBC or Fox News are the top news networks for a reason, because they confirm everyone's biases, and that is it.
Okay, but let me just say something. I've been in journalism for a long time. I'm considerably older than the rest of you. And back in the day, AP, the Associated Press, was straight down the middle. I mean, they weren't playing left or right. Now you read the Associated Press, and you might as well be reading CNN or MSDNC. I mean, it's incredible to me how a regular wire service has turned so much to the left.
Well, I'll say, Lisa, you don't look over a day over 40. So I don't think you're.
Thank you, darling. You get a raise. Well, some of us here on the panel believe that the eulogy has been written for CNN, and all that's left is the official time of death. Others, Jeff, not so much. But anyway, thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth matters.